All right, hello everyone, and happy Thursday on the 16th of May, 2024. Welcome to our CEO Success Story webinar. Today we're featuring Robert Cummings, who is the founder and CEO of Telecom Harmony. Love his story he's going to share with us. Our goal really is to have a good conversation today, provide value for everyone. We like to educate CEOs and other people that are aspiring CEOs potentially, maybe how to work with your CEO better or become one yourself. Robert is a telecom veteran with over 17 years, primarily on the technical side before he started Telecom Harmony with companies like Comcast, CSS, Cordal, which a lot of us know pretty well. He followed a technical path to CEO, and of course, anyone who's read my book, The Rookie CEO, You Can't Make This Stuff Up, knows that I'm quite intrigued by the path that people take to CEO, and so Roberts is intriguing to me. He founded Telecom Harmony in January 2020. Just think about that. Just a few months before stay-at-home pandemic, when UCAS kind of took off a little bit and Zoom became a household name, and people who never would think of a video conference were running video conferences with their freaking families. So, anyway, the Cloud Voice Alliance is our sponsor, and they welcome you, Robert. Thanks for joining us today and taking the time. And thanks to all of
Thank you
you
for
for
having
joining the
me.
live sessions. Yeah, it's great. So, Robert, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to Telecom, and as much as you're willing to share about your experiences, please.
My name is Robert Cummings, the CEO of Telecom Harmony and founder. Telecom Harmony is my baby. Telecom Harmony is where we bring all your telecommunication needs together in harmony. I started my telecom journey with Comcast. I wore various hats with them. Started as a technician, worked my way from level 1 through 5, and even on a supervisor level as a contractor. Um, Comcast was, I would say, Comcast helped me grow my love for telecommunications. It was something that I realized I was good at when I was trying to find what I was actually good at in life. And I would say Comcast gave me that gift. And from Comcast, after Comcast, I ended up going into becoming a contractor for myself, working for companies like um, Verizon, Nokia, as an independent contractor, rolling out projects like fiber infrastructure builds and also the 5G rollout.
Fantastic. So,
Yes,
so
sir.
tell us about how you came about deciding to start Telecom Harmony, and how did you make that transition? Did you wake up one day and just, say, I'm going to start this company? Did you get ticked off at the big companies? How did you go about that? How's the mindset change that made that happen?
That's a good question. So when I was working at Comcast, even as a contractor working for other companies, there were a lot of there was like a disconnect, I believe, with big companies like that, and there was a lot of instances where my voice wasn't heard, and a lot of things that I felt would have benefited the company, practices and procedures that didn't get heard, and I found myself like in a weird spot. Like I love telecommunications, but I really want to do my own thing. I'm tired of not being heard and stuff like that. And I'm a father of four, and I was worried about my future and my children's future. So that's why I started Telecom Harmony. I actually started it for my family. I wanted to create a company that I was passionate about, number one, that I could grow and then pass on to my children. My goal is for my youngest daughter to become the CEO of the company one day. My 7-year old. Her name
Oh,
is
that's a
Naive.
so you're setting up her path to CEO.
Yes, yes. I mean, she's a boss already, and she takes ownership already. And it's all coming together, man. And I'm really fortunate to be here and learn from mistakes in the past, other companies, and I'm fortunate to have acquired the skill sets that I have today to help run this company and help it get to that point where my kids can take over.
So you're teaching her how to install cameras yet?
She actually does know how to hook up a PoE switch. She
There you go.
does.
So,
She does. She knows
so
how to go from the modem to the PoE switch and get that thing powered up.
pretty good at 7. So, Robert, what is your vision for the company as you try to stay ahead of the trends and be able to scale up your company?
My goal for the company is to be one of the big players in telecommunications, to one day, see billions of dollars in revenue and also create jobs for the youth. You know, our future is important. I feel like our future is somewhat in jeopardy right now, but I want to be able to give back to at-risk youth, and show them another way to have a decent career. That's another passion of mine.
So, you're just over 4 years in. You
Hmm.
had to stay alive and grow and hire people, et cetera, through the pandemic. And we've come out of that, each one of us a different way. What are the top 2 or 3 challenges that you had to overcome within Telecom Harmony to continue to scale and grow the company?
I would say one challenge was creating a system, creating systems so that the company could run smoother, coming up with strategies to gain new customers. Um, I would say probably finding the right people, that could help grow the business. I like to see the good in people, but not everybody is good for business. And I think that was another challenge of mine. So,
Did you have a process for hiring to vet these people because you only have hired a few people. You're still fairly small, I think 10, 12 people.
mhm.
Um, it, what type of a process do you use to vet them to fit into the culture you're trying to build?
Culture. I love that word. Um, that's a tough question, Bill.
Yeah, I know. I
um,
didn't. I didn't prepare you for that one. It just kind of came to me.
um, my motto is with whether it's an employee, a contractor, a customer, whether it's SMB or one of our B2B partners. My motto is give everyone the warm and fuzzy feeling, right? So, what I like to do is keep that in mind. I like to make every employee or anyone who wants to work with us feel good. I want to make sure that they are have all the tools they need to be successful and kind of be hands on with them. I think, that's my answer to that.
So when you turn up your each new account, new customer, do you give them a Telecom Harmony hat or a T-shirt that says "warm and fuzzy feeling" in the on the back or something like that? That seems
No, no,
like a
but that
really
would
good
be that would
tagline that
be
you
cool.
can
I think
use.
I need to do that. And you
Because
can
you
all
use
the
that. I heard you use that once
yes,
before. I think I
yes,
saw
a
a
warm and
LinkedIn
fuzzy
post that
feeling.
you talked about leaving your customers with a warm and fuzzy feeling. That was one of your
Listen, yeah,
LinkedIn posts.
it's just one of those things. Like, of course, I'm selling them something, I'm providing solutions, but let's be real. Not everything works. Some things go wrong, but I found that when you give a customer that warm and fuzzy feeling, whether it's showing up on time, going over and beyond to educate them on a product, or being on site to address an issue, it goes a long way. I really believe that people, you know, it's not so much about the product, but the person itself. You know, it's about people, and I think that people buy into people, and if you can create the warm and fuzzy feeling, I think you'll go a long way. Every client, doesn't matter, big or
Interesting.
small.
Interesting. So that's the warm and fuzzy stuff. Now let's take a look at the next one. I've shared with many people here. I'm writing my next book, which is the top mistakes that CEOs make, how to
Mhm.
avoid them if you haven't made them yet, and how to recover if you have. What's the biggest mistake you've made in your short, 4+ years of being a founder CEO? The biggest mistake that you made, how could you have avoided it, and how did you recover from it?
I would say early on, my biggest mistake was being afraid to spend money. for the business. I guess I had this thing in my head that I just had to have all of this money in the bank and, keep the capital, but I didn't, I hurt myself because a lot of the things that we're doing now, if I did it then, we'd be a lot further today. So I would say spending the money to invest, like the trucks that we just bought, getting the vehicles wrapped, creating a present with merchandise, spending money on an office that we have here. The office actually is one of my best purchases outside of the vans because it gives me a place to actually work. Working from home sometimes it's just you get into that relaxed feel, but being here in the office, I feel motivated, and I see where my company has come from, and we got the board, and I get to come here and put my ideas on there, and talk to the team and everything. So I would say that was probably my best purchase this year. But definitely spending money is one of them. That was my biggest mistake. I was afraid to spend money. And another mistake I made. So we had a bunch of clients, pretty big clients at the time, and various projects were going on at one time. And I kind of got relaxed on one because it was kind of coasting, and I was focused more on another client, because we had just started rolling out that project, and I was less hands-on with the one, and it suffered a little bit. There was a little bit of a delay, and if I was there, and I think right now at this point of my career, it was a little too soon to be less hands-on. So one of those clients suffered, and it went against my motto, which is creating that warm and fuzzy feeling. So I had to work really hard to make sure that was resolved, and make sure that relationship stayed in good standing.
Now you balance. I mean, you could have avoided it by balancing them. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. I could have. I was in my mind. I saw the business growing, right? So I said, this one is going. Let's see if it can. I have people in place that can, push
Yeah.
that, and those people. I'm not saying they're not as good as me, but there's things that customer was accustomed to that they couldn't provide because it came directly from me. So,
Okay.
could I have done a better job with, training those people and, telling them, what I did that was successful with that customer? Yes. But, I take full accountability, and that was another mistake that I made.
Okay. Interesting.
That person's still a client though. So,
Well, that's good. You kept them. Sometimes it's not that easy.
guys, through it.
Well,
Yes,
most of
sir.
the time companies do have a chance to remedy a situation if you can
Mhm.
catch it fast enough. And the remedy is almost as important as the relationship, because when they see how you react when you see something goes south, then they can rely on you in the future. And I think that's also part of, red carpet type service or whatever, warm and fuzzy service. They want enough warm and fuzzy that you're going to make sure things are going.
Yes,
And
sir.
so it's going to take a few years before you can actually, you know, trust your team to do that. But on small projects, you can start to trust them. But on the larger ones, you got to stay at least partially hands-on, and like you said, train your people. So, your business is, I don't think you do, well, how much software do you do versus hardware?
We do a lot of software. I would say probably 50-50.
Okay, so based on that, there's a lot of trends on the software side of our business in this telecom world where AI is making huge inroads into automation of tasks, automation of calls. We know that, um, Bill McLean and Jody Gonzalez have, started upon AI, um,
Yes.
and they're learning and building UCAS clients, and really an interesting thing that they're doing. They can do it to cut off some of the suppliers, people that are just selling, one-off kind of solutions. But what do you see today for where AI-enabled telecom is starting to come into small and medium-sized businesses that are your primary clients. So, are you considering adding more AI capabilities to your business?
100%. It's funny you mentioned phone bill. I've been asking about his product. I can't wait to really dive into it because I really believe in AI, especially with call centers and
Hmm.
UCAS. I really believe that's going to be a game changer. And you know, at one side is scary, then the other side is like, that could be, I I see AI. Um, I see AI being hurtful and you know helpful. And one aspect, I mean, we sell voice, right? So, I guess it depends on if we can get our hands on a product that's easy to sell and reliable. I think it can help us grow. Other than that, I mean, you got the larger companies, the big fish that are going to put out their products, and I don't know. I really don't know a lot about it in that regard, but I do believe that we would consider it if we can make it make sense in our business. Um, I don't have much more to say in regards to AI, but I would really love to dive into Bill McLean's product, and if we can sell it, man, we'll definitely bring it on board.
Well, I think he knows, and he'll probably reach out to you if he hasn't already. So I have a question here in the chat from Larry Bonaroto, one of our attendees, and he's asking, what would be a career path for a team member in your organization?
Probably a sales exec. Is that what he's
What's that?
asking? A career path
A
for
career
a
path,
team
yeah.
member? Probably sales. Like currently,
Okay.
I would say sales,
Okay.
helping us,
That's good.
whether it's probably definitely B2B. That's a larger portion of our business at the moment, and I think that someone who could get some of those big fish, big clients, that would be a great career path for them, is to get into sales with
Okay. Well,
us.
usually can make more money than they imagine if they become
Yep.
good salespeople.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
let's talk about one of my favorite topics. Um, like what's next for you in 2024? And before you answer that, you know, what do we have to plan for? And this is all of us, but
Mhm.
especially, our attendees and our replay watchers. Uh, how do you plan to predict and have plans or actions for the rest of 2024 based on the political climate with the rematch of Trump and Biden, which I think is already set up to be a very nasty campaign and
Mhm.
election. The two wars overseas, the Ukraine-Russia war and the Israeli-Hamas war. There's a lot of issues that the U.S. is involved in, and our clients are worried about. And so, from an end user perspective to anyone in the UCAS world, there's blind spots that are potentially in front of us. What do you plan on doing to address some of those issues?
Wow, that's a loaded question. So, do you want me to start with 2024, or you want to start with
Answer it
the
any way
blind
you want. I
spots?
mean, the
So,
primary question is what's next for you in 2024, but all of those things impact whatever you're thinking. And if you don't think
okay.
about some of them, you will have new blind spots that you hadn't thought about. That's my
Yes,
point.
sir. Yes, sir. So in 2024, um, my goal. my goal is to invest 100% into the company. I want to hire a sales team, and we're going to be getting into marketing. We actually have a commercial coming out that's going to be targeted to our SMBs. Um, but yeah, investing back into the company 100% is what's next for us, and getting a sales team. And as far as blind spots are concerned, I mean, with everything that's going on politically, maybe supply chain, inflation. If inflation keeps, trending to go high, it might be harder for some of our clients to borrow money, which could make it harder for us to sell products and goods
Hmm.
to them. You know, so I mean, and it's funny because like now I have to really start thinking that way, because that is a reality. And I think the way around it would be to always try to be innovative, and you know um, have strategies to help get around some of those potential curveballs. Um,
Okay.
that's a good question. You got me thinking here, man.
Well, the
You got
thing
me
is,
really thinking.
if you install hardware as part of your business, right? You install, everything from switches to servers
Hmm.
to cables and all, cameras,
Yes,
and
sir.
and some of the things come from offshore and
Yes,
different
sir.
suppliers. So, in the past, in my past, whenever there was some sort of uncertainty, whoever was responsible for parts procurement would make sure that there were multiple suppliers, so there's no single supplier. That's an example of one way to plan around a potential blind spot. If you
Hmm.
have one person that you buy everything from, you might want
That's a
to
problem.
start with a second distributor, or somebody that you can get an alternate source that you can get the cameras from, the cables, whatever it is that is your core business, that your business would really be hurt if you didn't have these. And if you had to wait 6 months for something, that's just not acceptable.
You're right
So,
about that. We already have. That's something we thought about. I didn't bridge that in with my response, but we have multiple vendors for a lot of our products and services, and the one that we don't is for our cabling side. So that's something we need to start looking into,
mhm.
because you're right. I mean, right now we pretty much go through Gray Bar. We have an account with them, and we get a lot of stuff, as far as like installation hardware from them, and cabling. But it might make sense for us to start looking for another one just as a backup.
Just a thought. Okay. So the next one's more fun, and kind of leads into, a Cloud Voice Alliance announcement sort of thing. How do you utilize LinkedIn and social media to benefit your business? I have seen a few LinkedIn posts from you.
So LinkedIn is huge for me, actually. I absolutely love it, and I owe LinkedIn a lot, because LinkedIn is where create a presence, and I get a lot of our B2B business from. So I use LinkedIn for the B2B side of things, and I mean it's helped me tremendously. And education wise, I get to learn from people like you and Bill McLean, and other CEOs doing things. And I really appreciate LinkedIn for that. And as far as social media, we pretty much target to all our SMBs. So I'm posting on social media every day, to create a
Okay.
presence, and you know
Right.
get our name
So,
out there.
so the Cloud Voice Alliance is sponsoring social media marketing town hall on the 28th of this month, which is the day after Labor Day. And Phone Bill is going to be featured there. And Stephanie
That's a
Benzic,
popular
who
guy,
is
man.
the, yeah, and Stephanie Benzic, I think she's the director of marketing or something like that at Green Star Marketing, which is Dave George's telecom marketing company. And they're
Okay.
going to do a session at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, May 28th. Should be worthwhile. Stephanie has started to do a lot more posting, uh, and and teaching our Cloud Voice Alliance members or anyone here who wants to learn Uh, kind of like how Bill McLean does it. How does he get his content? How does he get his ideas?
Okay.
Bill I've watched Bill change his philosophy as he continues to grow, but he tries to build customers, use LinkedIn for education, and then people tend to remember you. And then when they have a problem they need solved, then they can call you. So other people use LinkedIn directly as a lead generation tool. And there's a lot of CEOs now that are starting to build their company in public, and they tell you a little bit too much information, but they've chosen that direction, you know. And so these are things that you can certainly do. Uh, there are percentage numbers from some research firms that say CEOs that start to share all their stuff on LinkedIn, uh, how they're thinking, how their mindset goes, what their company does, all kinds of different things. Personalized stories generate more leads, inbound leads for their companies. So those are things to really be thinking about. And I think that May 28th session will probably talk a lot about that because Greenstar
Awesome.
is helping a lot of Cloud Voice Alliance type members, and their bases, their customer base, all telecom. So it's all focused on telecom suppliers. So you might be very interested in that,
Oh
as with
yeah, I'll
other
be
people.
there.
All right. So, so what advice would you give to other CEOs who may be struggling uh, with personnel, acquiring new customers, or any other day-to-day challenges now that it's mid 2024?
I would advise a CEO to be more hands-on, honestly. More engaging with their leadership team. There's different levels of CEOs, and like what I choose to do is be very hands-on. Be present, practice, you know, healthy, and push healthy practices to the employees, and yeah, I would just say more hands-on and more present. It goes
Okay.
a long way, in my opinion.
It's so
As a matter
and
of
so
fact,
segueing into the
oh, I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
One person I saw do that very well was Alan Rim at Cordell. He was very, I mean, some CEOs, you're like, oh, I can never reach him. He can never hear me,
Hmm.
but Alan was the kind of guy who was like, he'll walk by your desk, and say, how's everything? And that goes a long way. It helps build confidence. It makes people feel wanted,
Hmm.
and he did it very well. And he created a culture, and I take some of his practices, and I want to bring it and implement it in Telecom Harmony.
Oh, that's good. Good to hear. I've met him. I met the Kudal team years ago when I was at Digium. They
Oh,
came
wow.
they
Did you?
they came over to Digium, and I think they wanted us to acquire them at the time. That was just my takeaway. That wasn't the
Got
meeting.
you.
The meeting was about partnering, but it was just interesting. Anyway, that was probably 2007, 2008.
Wow.
Yeah, so a
Early
long time ago.
days.
And yeah, yeah, it was early. So, what advice would the Robert of 2024 give to the Robert of 2007?
Um, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be
Love
afraid to
that.
go for what you want. The younger Robert was, afraid to jump in it. I was I mean, things happen for a reason. I'm here today because I eventually took that step. But if I could give them advice, it would be to not be afraid to fail.
That's excellent advice, actually. So, just make sure that the failure doesn't take the company down,
Yes, sir.
right? To me, I've always felt that there's no such thing as failure. There's only such thing as learning,
Learning.
because you learn. Now, if you make the same mistakes over and over again, shame on you, right? But if you make a mistake and learn from it, because that's what experience is. Experience is about learning, and you learn from failures. I mean, you learn from
Yes.
successes, but you learn more from failures. Just my opinion. and
Yes.
I write a lot about that kind of stuff. Okay, so the next one is the last question before our lightning round, and that is, what is one factoid that no one really knows about you that you're willing to share with us?
I used to be a singer.
A
I used to sing.
singer?
I was a musician. Yes. I've won
No kidding.
awards. Yeah, I've won awards. I've had songs on radio, local radio, um, and millions of streams on a couple of my songs. Yep. I
What
used to go by
genres?
Rob C. You can
Rob
you can
C.
probably look. There's some
What?
stuff on YouTube still.
Wow. What genre?
It was R&B, R&B,
Okay.
R&B,
Now
R&B music. I was on.
that is very cool. You should actually, when you start your posting your stories on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
is put how you apply your musician background and mindset to CEO of a company. Because I know
Hmm.
that I've met many musicians in the past that I've worked with that are excellent leaders. Just think about it.
Hmm.
Just think about it.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
you got me thinking.
Okay, so the last three
I don't know
things
if you
here are
guys can
what I
see that.
consider
You
the
can't
lightning
see that,
round.
but yeah, that was my music tattoo, treble clef. I don't know if you can see it right here.
Oh, oh yeah, okay, I see it. Yeah,
I'm a darker.
very cool. Very cool. So, so the lightning round is just say the first thing that comes to your mind when I ask you this question. So, since the
Okay.
pandemic started in March of 2020, of course, you grew your business. What's the one thing in your life that changed because of the pandemic that has become permanent?
My weight. I'll be honest with you, man. I picked up some pounds, but
I don't think
I'll
you're
be
alone
shedding it
there.
soon. No excuses. Huh?
I don't think you're alone. I think I have a neighbor that lost a lot of weight, but in my case
Uh,
and other people I know, we put on some weight during the pandemic.
it
That's for
just
sure.
kept pounds kept climbing, and I was like, oh my god. That's the only thing I can think of.
That's okay. That's a good one. And then the second question, the second lightning round question is Gen Zs are starting to penetrate our workforce more and more,
Mhm.
and they are very different and unique. So, what is the one piece of advice you would give a new hire, Gen Z, to your company to be successful at Telecom Harmony?
Hmm. It will probably be a good question. It would be for them to be themselves and not be afraid to go for it. Um, not be afraid to ask questions. Um,
Okay, so with Gen Z, think this way: you ask questions is good,
mhm.
but a lot of the Gen Z mindset, they want to know what's your purpose. What's the purpose in life of your company and you? So if you say ask questions and they say, okay, what's what are you all about? What's your purpose? What's your why? Are you going to engage in that conversation with? Because that's what they want to know. They don't want to work at places. They might ask you that question in the interview. So that's kind of the thought process. They want to know that the company that they go to work for has a meaning.
Hmm.
That's just, you know, I don't interview as many Gen Zs. I do interview a couple of startup founders that are Gen Zs, but I read a lot about them and I follow a few Gen Z uh, leaders, if you will, on LinkedIn. And when they share the stuff, they don't like to work for companies that just want to screw them over.
Okay, understood. I got you. You know, I mean, that's a good question. I'm not saying there's a disconnect there with me, but I would. I'm a culture guy. I would want them to be themselves. I would, you know, yeah. I mean, you really stumped me on that one. You
Okay.
you stumped me on
Well,
that one. I mean,
think about it, because you want to have, in my opinion, I think the strongest teams are
mhm,
multi-generational. I think that the stronger teams have uh, 2 to 3, maybe even 4 generations, depending on the size of the company, where people
mhm,
learn from each other, because there's great ideas and experience from the older, more experienced people, and there are untested but innovative ideas from these kids that are digital natives, and they grew up with a TikTok account,
mhm.
and they know how to use video, which a lot of us old timers didn't use very well in the early days. We might use it well now, but these kids have great ideas. You just need to meld them together with the team, and that's the thought process. I always like to ask that question of CEOs, especially first time CEOs. I think it's important to think about that stuff.
No,
So,
I mean, what you said
yeah.
is makes all the sense in the world.
All right. And then the last question. Yay. Under 40 minutes. What's the last book that you read, and how has it helped you?
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you, Bill. I can't remember the last book I read, and that's terrible. And that's something I want to change. I need to start reading more
All right. You need to
because.
read this book.
Oh yeah,
This is my book.
okay.
You need
I'm
to
gonna
read
buy
my
it.
book.
Where am I getting it from?
Amazon. Actually, just do a search for The Rookie CEO. I
Uh,
have a website, therookie-ceo.com. You can just go
okay.
there, and it'll give you a link to where you can buy it. It's
I'm gonna
obviously
buy it as
always
soon
on
as we get off
Amazon,
this.
but you can get any of the 4 formats. Anyway, um, that's fantastic. How can people who want to find you and engage with you, how would they find you?
Uh, LinkedIn, Robert Cummings. You can find us on Instagram at Telecom Harmony, um, Facebook Telecom Harmony, or our website www.telecomharmony.com.
Don't forget the HTTPS. I'm
That's
kidding.
right.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. All right. And then I want to remind everybody of the social media marketing town hall on the 28th. The replay for this will be available. We'll send out the link. Jeff has to kind of change the landing page. Its registration becomes the replay link. Plus, I put it on my YouTube. All of my previous interviews are on my YouTube. I haven't really announced that yet, so there's not a lot of views over there, but I have them all up there. And you can find my YouTube at my link tree, which is linktr.ee/beelinebill. I use Beeline Bill. Uh, and if you are watching this and you want to be featured here in a CEO interview, just send me a message, and you can become the Robert of the next session. So I want to thank everybody for joining us, whether you're here live or at the replay. I'd like to thank the Cloud Voice Alliance for sponsoring this, and especially want to thank Robert for taking the time and energy and honesty and authenticity that you shared with us today. You're
Thank you.
probably the newest CEO that I have interviewed here, and I think it's
That's awesome.
fantastic. But I love the story. I think it proves that you can go from a deep technical telecom background to starting your own company and just be very deliberate and build a culture that you like, that you want to be, and start that company and grow it. And you don't need to take on VC money because you're
Yes.
bootstrapped, Kurt. So you just be careful with your money, but you got to spend it in the beginning, as you told us. You got to
Yes, sir.
invest in yourself. So again, thank everybody, and and we'll see you on the replay.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate you guys.
All right. Take care.
Have a good one.